everybody, and welcome back to The Search. My name is Lisa. I hope everybody has had a great week since the last time I have seen you. If you are new to my channel, I upload a new video every Thursday at 8 p.m. and we actually schedule it for premiere so that way you can join us in the chat and we can kind of discuss the case as it goes along. Please make sure to subscribe, hit your notifications so you know when I upload, you don't miss anything. And if you enjoy this, make sure to hit the like button. Everything helps us grow. We are a newer channel. Thank you for everything that you all do and for everybody that's been returning and enjoying our episodes. Let's get into it. One thing I want to add before I get started, if you look at my thumbnail, the word search that is in yellow means that the case is missing. If the search is in red, that means the search is a murder still cold case, meaning unsolved. They are all unsolved. That way, it kind of helps you decipher maybe what you want to look at first. I can't believe this is our 8th episode already. Thank you all for continuing to show up, support. It means so much. Please make sure to leave comments afterwards, and I will make sure that if you have any questions, help you get the information that you need. Today, we are going to be talking about Brittany Phillips. Now, Brittany Phillips is probably a case that some people may have heard. There's been some updated information that I kind of just wanted to talk about also. I've never covered the case, but it definitely touched me. There's reasons, as I say in every episode that I do, of why I feel a little gravitated to a case that I want to share. And I will get into that. But first, as I do in all of my videos, I like to talk about the person that is unfortunately the victim. Kind of let people know just who they were. Kind of break down that wall of already gone, that they're human, and give the empathy that we need out there to get the tips and the help that we need. That's how I always start out. I always want you guys to be able to relate or find a sense of humanity within these people, because that's exactly what they were, and they did not ever deserve what happened to them. So, Brittany Ivana Sarah Phillips was born on October 4th, 1985 in St. Petersburg, Florida. She was born to her mother, Dr. Maggie Zingman. She has an older brother named Josh. I think they're about 15 months apart. Brittany's father, at the time, they were married when she was born, but early in, they did divorce. So Maggie actually took care of Josh and Brittany. At the time, Maggie would first move them from Florida to Kentucky. That was very brief that she stayed in Kentucky. And then in 1991, they all moved out to Oklahoma, which would be their full-time home afterwards. Brittany and her brother Josh, they were really close. They loved on each other and it was good. She had mentioned they were only a year difference in high school, I want to say. So that's always cool. I always knew when I had friends in school, they would be brother and sister a year ahead. They did everything. So I always thought that was neat like that. So they were, like I said, 15 months apart. A sibling rivalries here and there, but after all, they could count on each other. So that was what was great about that. In Brittany's childhood, I want to tell you a little bit about her. She expressed how much she wanted to get into modeling. She wanted to do acting. Now, Brittany was a little shorter. So as you know, in modeling, that wasn't really something you could really pursue. So as someone that also is not too tall, I know even if I had the option to do it, I couldn't. Just my height just wouldn't do it. So anyway, though, those were just some things that she liked to do. She also was very, very bright. She did not realize how smart she was. She did very well in school. And what I mean very well, I'm going to tell you. She actually went to Union High School, which was in Tulsa. Because she did so well with her intelligence It actually earned her a full ride scholarship to Eckerd College in St. Petersburg, Florida. What does that tell you right there? I want to tell you something. I don't know why Brittany never considered herself very smart, but I think she just says that it came with studying. That's what she says. Like, hey, that you know what? I studied hard. That's how I got the grades, but it wasn't because I was just naturally smart. So her thing was that she basically saying I had to work at things. But I know that her mom could see she had that little extra bright light in her. I want to tell you a little bit of where her passion came in of going to college. So we're going to talk about after she graduated, and let's talk a little bit about her going off to college. So she gets this scholarship, and guess what? The scholarship is for her to pursue in chemistry. Why chemistry? She was really close to her grandmother. And I think this tells a lot about Brittany. And Brittany's grandmother passed away of cancer. And that really struck Brittany. It really got her to the core. And that made her passionate in what she wanted to do. And she wanted to do research and find something to help cure cancer, whatever she could do, whatever her contribution could do. So that was what she was set out to do, and that's where the passion came from. And I thought that that was very inspirational. I wanted to make sure that I put that in here. She goes on, she does her first year, and she graduated actually when she was 17. So she was already, by 18, already had her first year done, at college, which is great, under full scholarship. How wonderful is that? In May of 2004, approaching the end of her freshman year, Brittany decided to pack up and go ahead and move back to Tulsa. She had talked with her mom about it. Her mom was like, okay, she just wanted to be back home. Her mother said, because she was going to go back to Tulsa, her mom was living about an hour away, I would say, in a place called Chandler, where there she was actually a counselor at a female correctional facility. So I found that interesting. But like Brittany said, I got friends down there, Mom. I got friends down there. Family members in Tulsa area, including her brother Josh, which is why I really wanted to stress earlier how close we were. So like I think she was like, I need some family. She was kind of known to be friends with everybody, but yet not have a lot of like besties. I think that's kind of a lot of us. We either have that really close friend, maybe one or two, or we just have a lot of acquaintances and maybe that one close. So she was kind of like that. Like she was friends with a lot, but nobody really close in. I think that's one of the reasons she wanted to get back. She wanted to feel that family. Her brother's back there. At the end of the day, that's what's important, right? And want to be happy. She still, of course, wanted to continue school. Now, the summer of '03 came to a close. She moves back. So now we are getting to the summer in 2003. She's now moved back to Tulsa and she had to find her an apartment, of course, to live. So she did move back home with her mom. Like I said, her mom was about an hour away. She moved into an apartment complex that was named Glen Eagles Apartments. Now it's actually, I think, known as Somerset Park at Union Apartments, but we're talking back in 2003. It was Glen Eagles Apartments. It was a quiet area of town. It wasn't really known for like a lot of violence or anything like that. It wasn't even far from where she went to high school at. So she felt comfortable where she was at. She was very familiar. I mean, that's where she grew up, basically, within that vicinity and went to high school. So there was, like I said, she had her old friends there that she knew and her brother, all that good stuff. So she felt, comfortable. The apartment was actually on the second floor. She just started beginning to live her life there back in Tulsa. Everything was going good. She actually began taking classes at the Tulsa Community College. She had several friends that were going there. So it was kind of like she graduated, she left for a year. It was like, I'm missing people. I feel like I need to be back. She comes back, gets an apartment, and now she is at Tulsa Community College. With that, she was still planning to enter her medical field and focus on her research for cancer, but had decided to earn her associate's degree before making any major decisions. Sometimes you get in these universities and you change your major 4, 5, 6 times sometimes, and it gets overwhelming. And if you're not quite feeling comfortable, so you know what? Without quitting, she's still, like I said, by the time of 18, because she graduated early at 17, at the early age, she was still right on time with things. You could tell that she had such a level head, a great judgment of what she needed to do, and was like, hey, I'm going to go to community college, continue on my passion. When we're finished with this, we'll see where we'll go from here. Which I think is very mature for an 18-year-old. This really tells you what Brittany really is, such a bright light, thinking that much ahead. And at 18 years old, I know that Maggie was so proud of her. So everything starts on Monday, September 27th of '04. She would call her mom and they would talk. That was normal. And she had called her mom and she would go to her mom's house like on the weekends. Because remember, her mom stayed about an hour away. Monday, September 27th of 2004, Maggie had talked to her mom. And when she was talking to her, she was telling her like she hadn't felt good. She thinks it was her allergies. She just really couldn't get to the doctor while she was there. Wasn't feeling the best, that she was gonna just like talk to her, finish some stuff, and then she was gonna just go on to bed, finish out the week. And her mom said, all right, just take care of yourself. You come home this weekend, I will get you an appointment with the doctor and we'll get you fixed up. Just normal mom and just a normal conversation. She didn't feel anything was different that day. That was September 27th. The 28th, she did not go to class. Her friends knew that she did not feel too well. I believe her mom had even tried to call and didn't get an answer. Also knew too that, she might have been resting, doing something. She knew she was coming home this weekend. Wednesday comes and she still didn't go to school, and the mom still has not heard. Now, she had left messages. She still had not heard back from her. Now she's got like mom radar, like worried about her. Why haven't I heard from her? It's always, we give it a day and we're just like, okay, we didn't miss, but I'm gonna leave a message. That Wednesday was the 29th. By now, the friends are like, she's not answering for them either. So, like I said, nobody had really talked to her since the 27th on Monday. They knew she hadn't felt too good. Tuesday was kind of like, oh, she's sleeping, whatever. She lived by herself. Remember, she lived by herself. By Thursday, when she didn't show up to school, that was not like her. They were wondering, the mom had not heard from her. So the friends do a welfare check. And this is where the story really begins. The cops show up to the apartment at 9 p.m. And at 9 p.m., they find Brittany. And she had had her life taken from her. She had been SA'd and killed. I believe her body was next to her bed. Immediately, the cops do what they do. Some of the first things they did was look at a point of entry. How did they get in? Because she was on the second floor. There were different ways that they talked about how the intruder could have got in. There was no broken windows though. There wasn't too many options because she was on the second floor. This could have been somebody Brittany knew, let him in. But I want to tell you something that they kind of even looked at and noticed. Like I said, she was on the second floor, but if you look up in your closet, you can like go up in an attic. Well, the attic actually went across many, I want to say 7 or 8 apartments. So you could actually go up in the attic and travel down. So it wasn't blocked off each apartment. You could actually travel through this area. I've lived in apartments and I'm wondering now, was it like that? And I didn't know it. Scary, huh? They had found what they believed at the time and was semen, and they found blood. And so, of course, they collected. Now, you have to remember we are back in '04. Technology was very, very different. We're talking 19 years ago. They were collecting what they could for evidence. That's what they were working on. That is what is happening at the time. And this is around 9 p.m. on the 30th of Thursday. They go to Maggie's house. She said when she opened the door, she saw a young sheriff's deputy standing out there who asked her name, gave her the news that no parent ever, of course, wants to hear, told her that she needed to go to Tulsa, that her daughter had been murdered. In those early morning hours, Dr. Maggie Zingman would learn that her daughter, 18-year-old Brittany, had been found in her apartment. She had been laying there for several days because they do believe that it happened between 9 p.m. and 8 a.m. starting September 27th. The mom is looking at this like, after I talked to her that night is when it happened. Basically going off of the timelines of everything, that is what they were pretty much putting down, that it was between 9 p.m. 8 a.m. That was very hard to digest. Brittany's funeral was held a few days after discovering her on October 4th, which coincidentally would have been her 19th birthday. I just feel so bad for her mother. These are some of the things too I'm like, we need justice. The funeral procession would lead Rose Hill Memorial Park in Tulsa. Brittany was remembered, of course, by her friends, family members, and other loved ones. They talked about how smart, funny, beautiful, intelligent she was. But you know what? Brittany's mom's through the whole thing, she just kept thinking what her daughter's final moments were like over the next several years. And we'll get into getting from there to next several years. But even over the next several years, it was such an unsettling fact with her that her daughter was killed just hours after she talked to him. When they had the funeral, the friends spoke. You know, they keep in touch with you and check on you, but life continues on. I think that is even just as hard to figure out where to go and what to do. So the police officers, they have the information, the DNA. They went ahead and the investigators, that what they found, the DNA, said they had compared it to approximately 1 million people in CODIS and no matches had been found. DNA was collected from people in the local areas as well. Also came back with nothing. Only 2 people in the area ever refused to submit, and I think they ended up like getting a court ordered or something, and they were even like cleared. So why they denied doing it, I don't know. Brittany's family and like all her friends, they were just unable to really think of who would do this to her. They put the DNA in and like there was just no matches, there was no hits. They had looked into so many people, nobody could think of anything. Guys, it was just like somebody just walked in, walked out, no witnesses, nothing, nothing. And that doesn't happen. Once again, I say somebody knows something. Somebody. Nobody just walks in, does this. This is in an apartment area. Now, there was said to be known in there a little bit of drug dealing going on there. Did somebody come back on revenge and got the wrong apartment? I mean, you don't know. You try to think, why would somebody just come in there? She's on the second floor. You have to like put some thought into it. If she knew them, somebody then would know something even more if she was like close to them. They even like looked into security people. Nothing. She didn't have a boyfriend. She did not have a history of doing drugs. The detectives were on it, but nothing was coming back with CODIS. Nothing. And it was awful. But I want to tell you something that the mom decided to do. This is what jumped at me. I just happened to look and I was like, yes. The mom had reached out to different medias. And I'll tell you, this is why I do what I do. Sometimes I don't speak as correctly as I need to. Sometimes I stumble over my words, but my passion is real. And I know that she was trying to get coverage over this. This was an unsolved. She reached out. I don't know, was it not exciting enough? Would it not get the attention that they needed? Things like that are said. What do you mean my child that has been murdered is not exciting enough? No, we're not here for excitement and entertainment. We are here to get tips, right? We are here to get leads, to find out. We are here for justice, not excitement. Her mom decided that she was going to take matters into her own hands. If she couldn't get her daughter out on any media coverage, then she was going to get the coverage. And she had a caravan, which later became Caravan to Catch a Killer. It was a wrap around it that was purple and pink with all the information on Britney. And I want to tell you, to just keep it a little shorter, she went through 3 caravans and almost 300,000 miles. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Wow, when you wonder, what do you mean 300,000 miles? She traveled the country, going places to places and stopping and raising awareness with her van to try to find a tip, to give leads, the same thing media would do if she was able to have got her on a show. So she wasn't able to reach people through media, so she did it herself and went around. Like I said, she covered close to 300,000 miles in those caravans wrapped, trying to find anything. I know that there has been people now that have been covering it, but I felt I needed to do it. It was just 1 ounce of help. If I got it out to 10 people, that's 10 more people that she didn't get it to. We've needed to help somebody that was helping themselves. That was like, you know what? I'm not standing here and waiting for detectives to call me. I'm not waiting for someone just to walk up and say, oh, I think we know who did it. She knew that DNAs were not coming back and she wasn't stopping. I wanted to be a part of this, as well as others that have done this story on her, I'm sure felt the same way. That kind of takes us to another part of the story. All these years, nothing had ever come back with the CODIS. In 2018, they were able to send DNA to Parabon. That is a lot more up to date, that, you get involved with genealogy. Technology is way more advanced than before. That's what they were hoping. By doing that, they were able to do all those things. They were able to get a description of what the person looked like. In 2018, the detective sent the DNA from what they felt was the killer's DNA that they found at the crime scene, used that DNA to help create a composite sketch that could help possibly like figure out what it looked like. So all this is like a lot more enhanced than what they sent 13 years ago, something like that. The picture is the closest Maggie Zingman's had come to in 13 years seeing the face of her daughter's killer. Basically, they've got this, and now they're going to like show the mom. Maybe she's gonna recognize him. The composite came up with blonde hair, blue eyes. That would have been somebody Brittany, look-wise, would have been attracted to, Mother said. The Tulsa police sent DNA found at Phillips' murder scene, like I said, to the Parabombs Nano Lab. The DNA was used to create a composite sketch. Not only the blonde hair, blue eyes, but a composite sketch of what the man would look like at 25 years old. They said they don't know how old the person was at the time of the murder or how old he is now. According to the report that the DNA was collected at the time of the scene belongs to a white male with a fair complexion and possibility green or blue eyes, either brown or blonde hair. It almost broke my heart because it meant that there's a good possibility she trusted this person. And at some point before he did this, Zingman said. With that being said, now they've got a composite sketch. They think now, okay, here we go. We've got something to go by. Maybe we'll have some luck. Maybe we'll be able to find out who it is. Once the composite was out, they had actually figured out whose DNA was picked up at the apartment. This is kind of just trying to just take you along on this long venture. Come to find out that DNA belonged to actually Brittany's friends who had stayed at her house, and they were cleared of everything. So all this DNA they had, that they had been searching through the years, through different places, through genealogies, through Parabon, through CODIS, through tons of people, was not what was going to be the evidence. And in fact, DNA was not found on Brittany. Even the friends that they found from being there was just DNA within the apartment. It was not on her that was found. It even showed like there was no contact even with her. Unfortunately, that was a huge blow. So every year, Brittany would send her grandfather a card. She could never remember the address, so she would usually like send it to the father. The father would usually like get it to the grandfather. Well, the year that she was murdered, the card came later on that week. Her father just kind of put it away. Just figured she mailed it. He did not pay a lot of attention to the outside of everything because it was something that she did regularly. Her father had just recently found the last card Brittany sent hidden away in a box. It arrived after Brittany had been buried. She was buried October 4th, but had a stamp on it similar to the one that was bought September 29th. Brittany's mom had always been told that she had died around the times of like the 27th, 28th. Remember at the beginning of the story, I talked about 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. that morning. This was a shocker to say the least. This was like, what? Because, guys, this changes everything. Maggie said, quote, I feel like I was almost told like she died again because now this changes timelines. If she mailed that, then no way could she have died when they said. So now it's like you got to reopen and start from the beginning. She's not going to show the exact evidence of the stamp and all that. She gave that to the police because that is evidence. She did say, though, that the stamps were one of those bought like you can buy at a kiosk or like a post office desk. There's really two viable options. Two options, and number one is tearing my heart out, is that she mailed it, said Maggie. Okay, these are quotes from Maggie. She said the second option, and likely the more logical one, is Brittany asked a friend to mail the card for her. However, though, Maggie asked Brittany's brother and a handful of friends, and they didn't mail it. She's asking anyone that mailed it, please come forward. Let us know. I mean, this changes everything. We need to know because the timeline, this can affect like so many things. And it's so crazy all these years later, the father brings this out, and it's like everything. So just to kind of recap some things, because we've been a little all over, but yet all these parts are important. She had moved. She went her first year in St. Petersburg. She then went back to Tulsa, Oklahoma, which was an hour from her mom. She got an apartment right by her high school, felt very at home, which was why she wanted to. Her brother was there. She was surrounded with friends. She had a great reputation. She did not do drugs. She did not get in trouble. She did not hang in bad crowds. She lived on a second floor, which was hard to even get in unless maybe you knew her. Although we did talk about the attic, right? That you go could be a possible way to get in. Nobody sees anything, guys. Nobody sees anything. They send things into CODIS. They look at lots of people all around everywhere, plus the million that goes through CODIS. Nothing comes back. The mom tries to get the media to cover everything and to get help, and it's not exciting enough. She's not getting help the way she needs it. She then takes it upon herself, and she gets a car caravan and she wraps it in all the purple and pink, and she becomes her own media coverage and travels almost 300,000 miles through the years getting different coverage. Finally, they get back, they enter it into Parabon, and they do the great job that they do. They form up a sketch, they get the information for all that to come back to be related to her friends. It was not even the killer then, and they were all excused. What a breakdown. Then the father says, I find this, and to know now the timeline, everything that she has been advocating and doing is possibly the wrong timeline, the wrong time. I can't even imagine. This is why I feel like I want to do my part and help her get any information out. Somebody that watches me may not watch other people that got out. I know since then there's been more coverage, more people have been covering this. I know recently she was able to go to CrimeCon. I know that she has talked with people, even Nancy Grace at one time. I know that the story is still evolving and still trying to get as many people's attention. This was a difficult case. There was a lot of different things that went on through many different years. And like I say, I may not pronounce everything correctly. I may stutter on something, but what I have is passion and what I am is genuine. And yes, I can sum up something in a few minutes, but I want you guys to feel, I want you guys to understand why I do what I do. And hopefully that allows us to be more relatable and that we can grow in cases that we can help and somebody knows something. She is very easy to contact, trust me. At the end of every episode, I like to do a ribbon of prayer to find justice for Brittany Phillips. And I put it on our board. There are other victims. As of now, her case remains still open and unsolved. They are reopened, looking at timelines, looking at possible new leads. But right now, we still need justice. The killer is still out there. I hope that you appreciated today's episode. Please subscribe, hit that notification button, and I will see y'all on the next episode of The Search.